You've grown strong, son. And smarter than I ever imagined.
Then take me with you.
You're all I have now, Artie.
I understand that you were introduced to Artemis Fowl by your nephews. So kind of what did that conversation like?
We were on holiday together, skiing holiday. I asked them what they were reading, and they said, "This, your next movie, Uncle Ken." I said, well, it may not be as simple as that, boys. But what was simple was in reading the book and really enjoying it without any of the pressure of thinking, well, how would it be if it was a movie? And then a couple of weeks later, getting a call from Disney about this very project. It was great to feel, hey, I'm ahead of the game. And I also had my own natural reaction to the story. I wasn't trying to imagine it as a film. I just had the reader's reaction. So I was grateful to the boys for that because it was a great start.
The story takes place in Ireland, this gorgeous coastal setting that you've created. But with your personal Irish roots, kind of how does that inform the way you tell this story?
I think I was very aware that I grew up with people talking about trolls and giant dwarves and goblins, and all of that kind of folklore was part of what people would do in a sort of pre-digital world where families get together and lots of people told stories, and often the stories were about leprechauns and spells and people with shillelaghs and people who were beggars, but really you kissed them and they turned into something else. So the idea of the fantastical being really close to literally where you lived in Ireland was key. So for me, the idea of that being quite so present in the life of somebody like Artemis Fowl was a familiar concept.
You assembled a great cast, called Farrell, Josh Gad, and then, of course, the teenage leads. So I understand there were some 1,200 boys that you looked at to play Artemis. So what was it about Ferdia that stood out?
A sense of humor that he retained all the way through the complex and lengthy audition process, his own encyclopedic knowledge of the books. So you were talking to an unreconstructed fan. He loved them, and he loved the dark side of Artemis as well. And he was very protective of Owen Colfer's work. He was very protective of the source and of the respectful of the original writer. So he was, you didn't need the author on set when you had Ferdia Shaw there, because he could quote chapter and verse. But the combination of his seriousness of approach, he was ready to learn and do all the things he was going to have to acquire in order to carry a movie of this size, but also retain playfulness and fun and joy. He loved being on that surfboard. He loved being on that skateboard. He loved chasing around that house. His youthful vigor and relish of all things physical, just like Lara McDonnell as Holly Short, was also invaluable to the film.